This is Dr. Brand Niemann, former US EPA Senior Enterprise Architect and Data Scientist, and currently Binary Group Senior Enterprise Architect and Data Scientist, describing my contest application entitled Build EPA Apps in the Cloud. The home page for this application is shown at the URL in the bottom of this slide. This uses one of the two cloud tools that I've used for my application. This is MindTouch, which is the leading social knowledge base in the world. The other tool is called Spotfire and is also a leading visualization tool. My description of the application is divided into three parts: past, present, and future. In the past, or stage one, while I was the Senior Enterprise Architect and Data Scientist at the US EPA, I published a paper entitled Put Your Desktop in the Cloud in support of the Open Government Directive and a Data.gov Semantic. This paper was published in 2010. Then I developed my own open government plan and built over 40 applications related to my EPA work using EPA data, and over 25 data science products related to my work for Data.gov and other interagency activities. In stage two, during the last 9 months since leaving EPA after 30+ years of federal service, I continue to work on EPA, Data.gov, and international data applications as Director and Senior Data Scientist for the Semantic community and for a new activity called AOL Government as a data blogger. In the past June 9th, I was pleased to be present when Administrator Lisa Jackson announced the EPA Apps for the environment, and viewed it as a very significant development because in the broader perspective it made it possible for me to build on the stage one that I just described and even envision a stage three, which would make this an even more valuable and sustainable program. So I decided to divide stage two into a phase one, which I entitled Making EPA Data More Useful in the Cloud, and a phase two, which actually used the Chesapeake Bay program stats and indicators in the cloud. I did this because the 30 data sets needed to be put into a more useful form for other people using these data for the contest, and because the Chesapeake Bay data sets offered more opportunities for meaningful integration and use by decision makers and the public for my application than did the 30 data. In stage three, this was prompted by a presentation recently at the Geospatial Summit by two former EPA colleagues, Lisa Jenkins and David Smith, on GIS integrating and sharing data, lessons learned from the EPA. And it highlighted the need to integrate all the complicated back-end business processes from stage one in a state-of-the-art dynamic case management platform like BrandNiemann09162011.wmv, which I am currently piloting for the Department of Defense, Army, and Veterans Administration and other clients of my current employer. There is a web address with a login to show that work, which is shown on the screen here and shown later. The results of stage three will be, with Be Informed, would be integrated with the results of stage two. This means the contest sets the stage for a longer term, more sustainable and meaningful activity where these contest apps have a permanent home and a broader purpose. This relates to a recent request for success stories by the White House office. The required links are shown in this table for the three stages, for the dates showed in that column, and the two, or actually three, self-service cloud platforms that I'm using, along with their URLs. The list of data used is presented in this slide for stage one, stage two, and stage three is in process based on the data sources used in the previous two phases. There are no installation instructions because this was done with self-service cloud platforms as a service, which are live on the web. The video now is arranged to cover the three stages that I just described, with details under it. This is the paper, Put Your Desktop in the Cloud, that was published in 2010, that essentially provided the enterprise and data architecture for this. I did this because, of course, I was an enterprise architect and a data scientist, and this was a form of documenting that work. My open government plan is documented in the MindTouch social knowledge base, and was based on the suggested open government plan contents for agencies, and I adapted that to my individual. My EPA activities are summarized in the MindTouch environment at this URL, and I highlight one of those, which happened to be the analysis of the EPA BP oil spill tools and data. Here is that analysis shown using both MindTouch and Spotfire. The Spotfire web player file is embedded in the MindTouch wiki. It also can be launched in a separate browser. The point of doing this is that the analytics are in the Spotfire tool, and the data and metadata references and notes are in the MindTouch tool. This enables one to put data within 4 mouse clicks. Click 1, you see the data. Click 2, you sort and filter the data. Click 3, you download the data. And click 4, you can share the data using the Spotfire iPad app. I refer to this as creating an interoperability interface for the application and all the supporting data. And these are the data science products and their URL. They consist of 5 items and are more formal in their documentation and write-up than are the previous ones. The one I'm showing here is in the EPA ontology. It's based on the EPA report on the environment, which was rendered completely in MindTouch with well-defined URLs and all the data and graphics, and then an ontology interface was created to that, so it provides a knowledge base. And a knowledge base, by definition, is the model or ontology along with the instances, or in this case the complete report, all semantically interlinked. The work with Semantic Community is summarized at this location in the Semantic Community Wiki. And an example of the kind of data blogging that I do for AOL Government is shown here. And this happens to be the data blog that I did on the Phase 1 contest application, helping others with EPA data sets. This was also the subject of a webinar that was hosted by the Digital Government Institute, available at a link shown elsewhere. This is the Phase 1 Spotfire application that makes the data available in the cloud, in memory, and there are more than 20 of the 30 data sets here, complete with their data dictionaries, as complete as I was able to get them from the EPA documentation that was provided. This illustrates that a considerable amount of the EPA data that is housed in warehouse or Data.gov in zip or other files can be put into the cloud as actual data held in memory and made available individually and collectively in this Spotfire application. This is one of the many tabs in the Chesapeake Bay program, which is the main application for this contest. This is the most integrated data set that EPA has, in my opinion. Represents years of considerable monitoring and analysis of the state of the Chesapeake Bay ecosystem. And this application provides all of that information, the historical monitoring data, all the indicators, the statistics, the Bay Journal articles documenting significant events in the history of the Bay, etc., all in memory, and then all documented in these multiple wiki pages, which are underneath this, as you can see on the left. Phase 3 is being put together in the binary group MindTouch instance in the cloud, and it was presented at a recent LAN WarNet conference, and there is a login for this, and one can begin to see how we take the kind of information that I just showed you from stages 1 and 2 to the stage 3, which we refer to as dynamic case management. This is obviously the solution for capturing and making more functional EPA backend processes that are required to support rules and regulations. This is the rest of that binary group at LAN WarNet that shows preparing information like I did in stages 1 and 2 to get to dynamic. And this is the last slide, which captures an interview that I gave while in Brussels in May as part of my giving the keynote at the European Union's Conference on Semantic Interoperability, where I was invited to give the keynote by the European Commission CIO Garcia Moran, and talked about our use of the Be Informed platform as the state-of-the-art for semantic ontology rule-based applications, not only for Europe but for the US EPA. This concludes my presentation. I hope you'll look at the URLs, especially that for the Chesapeake Bay program, and explore that application in the cloud.